Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series Transformers Bumblebee Deluxe Class Ironhide. Now before we get into the review, I would really appreciate it if you guys could all smash that like button, and of course please feel free to let me know down in the comment section below on what you guys think of both the figure and the review. Now Ironhide here sadly marks the last official on-screen Autobot that we truly needed to fill out the ranks for the Bumblebee movie, and I don't think I've ever been this excited for a movie subline as I have been here for these Bumblebee figures. Each and every one of them have just been so well done, and I'm really hoping that Hasbro noticed the fan demand for these designs and actually give us some concept characters. I know for a fact that there is indeed a concept out there of how Transformers Bumblebee movie Megatron would have turned out had he appeared in the film, and I would just love to see Hasbro and Takara's take on that guy. Now you can see that in regards to a design, he's basically for the most part identical to Ratchet. Much like we saw in the movie, Ironhide sadly did really only appear for a very brief blink and you'll miss it scene. He was there when Soundwave comes crashing down on Optimus and Bumblebee, and we see him kind of in the background just about to eject off in an escape pod. I imagine the next time we'll actually see this guy will be in Transformers 2007, as I don't believe he's rumoured to indeed show up for Transformers Rise of the Beasts, but a really cool character. I was very surprised to see how quick Hasbro and Takara actually put this guy out. I really wasn't expecting him for at least the next couple of months, especially considering that we have only just got Ratchet, but I'm not complaining at all. This is a really awesome figure, and out of the two, I actually have found myself liking Ironhide ever so slightly better. Now we'll bring him in here and take a closer look at the details. The major mold change is this head sculpt, and this just looks fantastic. The attention to detail that really and truly all of these B-movie figures have is astonishing. The amount of sculpt work that we've got going on here for the face piece just looks awesome, and I don't know about yourselves, but I haven't been able to stop myself in reenacting some of those 2007 Transformers movie lines. "It's Starscream, Sam, get to the building." I'm really hoping that if he does show up in an upcoming movie that he does sound like Jess Harnell in, of course, the original Michael Bay films. But you can see we've got the Autobot insignia kind of sculpted there for the crest. We don't have the actual antenna crest section that Ratchet had, but the sculpt work is just so nicely done, even here towards the side, and he's got probably some of the best light piping I've seen on a Studio Series release. Now the rest of the body is exactly the same as Ironhide, however it has been sculpted and painted beautifully. So this entire section here has been really nicely painted in red. You can see we've got some very nice transparent blue plastic going on here for this windscreen, and I love the silver trim around this center section with the Autobot insignia slap bang there in the center. Even as we take a look here towards the neck region, this too has also been fully sculpted and looks awesome. As we take a look here at the shoulders, you can see a really nice grey trim around the edge of these, actually been painted so well, and as we spin our attention here to the back, completely sculpted. My only critique would be that I would have loved to have seen some gunmetal silver, just to pick out some of the sharper details of the sculpt, but we'll no doubt see a premium finish release of this in the future, and you can see really nice, almost spinal detailing here for the back. Overall, just such a smashing mold. Now, when I got this guy in hand, there are indeed even more paint apps than I was expecting. So here for the arms, you can see we've got this awesome gunmetal grey here for the shoulder region, and we've got some really nice highlights here for the forearms as well as for the outer sections. So you can see these tiny little 3 sections have been fully painted, and as we take a look here at the torso region, you can once again see a fantastic use of a lighter shade of silver as well as some gunmetal. So overall, not looking too bad at all. Now as we take a look here at the thighs, sadly this is really the only area of which I personally don't like the look of. It does look as if though he's wearing a pair of red shorts, and then here for the thighs it is just basically grey plastic. I believe in the film these are either completely grey or completely red, and the same does also apply here to the trim around the wheels. I do definitely know that this is supposed to be red, so no idea as to why they decided to cast it out of grey. It's not the end of the world, but if you're going for dead on movie accuracy, I definitely would have loved to have seen at least this section here cast or painted in red. But you can see the sculpt work looks really nicely done, even here for the inside, despite there being some waffling going on. I don't think it looks too bad. And here for the outer section, the faux wheels have been fully decked out in a nice gunmetal, and the foot has been painted so nicely. Literally was not expecting this at all. You can see all of these really nice precise paint apps for these sections. Awesome gunmetal grey going on here for the back. Even these tiny little circular designs have been picked out in silver, and the same does also apply here for the inside of the legs. So overall, definitely been painted really well. As far as repaints go, one of the better versions I think we've seen from the Studio Series line. Now in regards to articulation, Ironhide has got a fantastic ball joint here at the head, so this can look down as well as up, tilt side to side as well as rotate left to right, and from a dead front on perspective, that literally looks as if though it's been ripped directly out of the movie. That looks so accurate accurate to the film. You can see here for the shoulders, we do get a full rotation, as well as a hinge joint out to the side, full rotation here at the bicep. Sadly, only a single joint here at the elbow and no form of wrist rotation, which isn't the best, but here at the waist, we do in fact actually get a rotation going left to right. The legs can kick forwards that far, as well as back to that far, hinge out to the side, full rotation here at the thigh. Due to transformation, a slightly past 90-degree range here. However, to be honest, it is basically just 90. And at the foot, due to transformation, you can pivot this here forwards and backwards, which I personally have found to really help in getting him into some of those dynamic poses. And we do get a slight ankle rocker pivot going side to side. So in all, as far as the deluxe mold is concerned, I really like the way this guy's turned out. And at least from the most recent live stream, it does kind of appear as if though Hasbro are hinting that we could see this in the future, maybe being redecoed into some Autobot grunts, of which I actually would really like to see. We tend to see many different repaints of the Seekers. I think it would be cool to see an almost Seeker design for the Autobots. As far as weapons are concerned, exact same blaster that we got with Ratchet, so you can see completely cast this time out of black. Fantastic looking sculpt work. Would have been cool to have seen a silver dry brush going over the top, but honestly not looking too bad. He can hold it, or we can in fact actually sling it over his back in true Ironhide fashion. And very quickly bringing out some Studio Series size comparisons. Here we have the Bumblebee movie Ironhide compared next to the original 2007 Ironhide, the Ironhide that I personally grew up with. And at least as far as the design is concerned, just from a personal perspective and being a major fan of the Michael Bay movies, I've got to be honest and say I kind of find this B movie design to be a slight downgrade when in comparison to this absolute goat. But that's not to take anything away from this design. It's incredibly accurate to the film, and I'm pretty certain those who are a fan of the original G1 series will be thrilled that Ironhide is not only resembling more of his G1 appearance, but that he is now, of course, in the correct red color scheme. Here we have his mold mate, the Bumblebee movie Ratchet, and you can see that in regards to the torso, exactly the same as one another. As we just bring those head sculpts in here for a closer look, you can in fact see that they are completely different in design, so I'm definitely glad that they did change that. But my goodness, what a difference a repaint makes. These definitely do look like distinguished characters, and to be honest, I really hope that we can in fact actually see these guys on screen with one another again. Here we have him alongside the Bumblebee movie Wheeljack, Brawn, the recently reviewed and Wavemate RC, Cybertronian Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, Optimus Prime, and finally, of course, the entire Autobot cast from the Transformers Bumblebee movie. And for a movie of which is titled Bumblebee, my goodness, we actually saw quite a lot of the Autobots in this film, but you can see just such a terrific lineup of figures, each and every one of them, with maybe the exception of the B-127 and Cliffjumper mold, are all looking incredible. And I actually hope that we can in fact see maybe a Cybertronian version of Optimus Prime, as much like Megatron, I definitely know that there is a concept out there which shows Prime having a Cybertronian truck form. So turning to transformation, to begin with, what I personally like to do is take the wrists and just collapse them there into these hollow cavities. We can then bend at the elbow backwards, just like this, and then spin our attention here and just untap these sections and basically just hinge both of these panels out like that. I then like to come here to the lower section, rotate here at the thighs so that the front is now facing the back, and we can proceed to collapse the feet into these hollow cavities. We can then take this gunmetal section and basically pull this here forwards, which will disengage this tab from a slot which is securing this. Once that's done, we can then lift this section over Ironhide's head, extend this here all the way out, and then basically just take this panel and hinge that just like so. We can then take this, extend that as well, and then here for this region, we're going to want to bend here at both the hip and the knee so that this portion of the foot does indeed fold over the waist. So just do the same here for this side, and then we can rotate here at this joint, and then this section will come over, and you'll notice how we've got two tabs that will peg into some slots on the front of Ironhide's legs, and then this section will lock into place. We can then take these pieces, rotate them until they soft tab into place, and repeat the same process here for this side. So snap that in there, hinge these panels out of the way, and just dip this down slightly. This tab is now going to peg into this slot here. So just snap that in there, and this tab will peg into a tiny slot on the top of the foot. So put that in there, and then just collapse this panel along the side. Come to this section, and you guys guessed it, repeat the exact same process. So snap that in there, snap that in there, and then just clip all that together. And then we have the Transformers Bumblebee movie Deluxe Class Ironhide, fully transformed up into this wicked looking Cybertronian truck. This looks really cool. I loved it on Ratchet, and I absolutely love the way it looks here for Ironhide. You can see how we almost have some really nice G1 nods, such as the yellow stripe that we've got going along here over the side of the vehicle. I think that looks great. The overall sculpt work just looks so well done, and to me, this is how the Siege War for Cybertron figures should have looked. I always found that those figures were slightly too almost Earth mode based, whereas these are straight up Fall of Cybertron. These look so alien in design, especially towards this front section. You can see how it's really sleek and futuristic looking. We've got the same gunmetal silver that we saw carried over from the robot mode. Even these front sections appear to have what look like headlights sculpted on the front, and the wheels too also look really nicely done. We've got those wicked looking red rims, and just overall it's a really solid looking Cybertronian truck. Even the back has been fully sculpted as well as detailed, and you can see as we spin our attention here to the top, there are barely any hollow spaces on this guy, and despite him arguably being one of the biggest deluxes that we've seen from the Studio Series line so far, he definitely transforms into an incredibly tightly compact and rather small looking Cybertronian vehicle mode. Now, for a very quick comparison, considering he's the exact same mold as Ratchet, he is the exact same here in vehicle mode. Now, as mentioned in bot mode, I really would have much preferred to have seen these rims done in red. I just think that overall it would have blended in with the contrast that we've got going on here for the front, and I'm quite unsure as to why they did leave them grey, as in the movie I know for a fact that these sections were red on the legs. But you can see that in terms of vehicle mode, despite them looking identical as far as molds are concerned, in regards to the paint apps, it really does make all the difference, and to me at least makes this guy look drastically different when in comparison to the Cybertronian ambulance that we've got going on here with Ratchet. Now, in regards to weapon storage, of course you can take the blaster and in fact actually tab it here on top, so you can have Ironhide even in his vehicle mode ramming down the Decepticons and of course blasting them into oblivion. And so, some final thoughts for the Transformers Bumblebee Studio Series Deluxe Class Ironhide. Overall, the figure is fantastic. To begin with, when we saw it the first time round with the Studio Series Ratchet, I was thoroughly impressed with how that figure turned out, and Ironhide here is no exception. To me at least, he's even better, as the red plastic that the figure has been cast and painted in truly does allow some of the sharper details of the sculpt to pop, whereas with Ratchet, due to the white plastic kind of being incredibly vibrant and bright, it made some of those sharper details slightly lost in the overall white colour scheme. But Ironhide, I just think, looks so much better. The attention to detail in the head alone is almost identical to the actual ILM CAD file. The robot mode overall is just such an awesome design, and I really do think this is one of the best deluxe figures that we've seen from the Studio Series line so far. In regards to articulation, not too bad at all. My only area of critique would be that I would have loved to have seen them maybe given him wrist rotation, but that was an issue that I had on the original mold, and sadly it has once again carried over here to the Ironhide mold. I'm not a huge fan of the grey colour scheme that we've got going on for the thighs, and of course for those wheel wells in robot mode, they are most certainly red, at least where the wheels are concerned on the actual CG model, so I really have no idea as to why on the toy they decided to cast them out of grey. I'm sure there was some reasoning behind it, but to me it does look slightly out of place. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, that is just a minor critique. I think the massive weapon he comes with, whilst once again exactly the same as Ratchet, looks fantastic, especially this time round in the darker gunmetal. The transformation, whilst is fairly simplistic, results in a wicked looking Cybertronian van or truck. It just looks so well done, and as mentioned in this review, to me these figures are truly what the Siege figures should have been from the offset. They look so awesome and incredibly faithful to some of those almost Fall of Cybertron video game designs that we saw way back in the day. I really hope Hasbro notices the fan demand for these types of figures and in fact actually gives us some of the concept characters. Megatron is definitely out there, Cybertronian Optimus is definitely out there. Just to get those two figures alone would make my mind absolutely explode, so I can only imagine as to how the likes of maybe Jazz would turn out, or Sideswipe, or even if they did some of the other Decepticons. In regards to some of the future B-movie characters, I know that we're definitely going to be seeing more of the Seekers. I know that at least Thundercracker is already confirmed to come out this year, and we'll no doubt see a proper in-scale version of Shockwave either in the Voyager or Leader. But other than those two figures, to be honest, there really aren't any more that they can do, so definitely utilize this Hasbro and give us some concept characters. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below on this Studio Series Ironhide. Sadly, he does kind of conclude the Autobot cast for the B-movie, but I'm just really excited to see these designs taken forward for Transformers Rise of the Beasts, and who knows, maybe in that film we'll get a very similar sort of flashback scene like we saw in Bumblebee, and we may in fact even see more of these characters in the future. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. As always, please feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.